Hey peeps. Okay, so this is the second half of our question and answer section here, and I'm not very far through this list if you watched the first one. So we're gonna just get right into it. The second half of this question by one of you was, I'd like to hear about your journey on becoming a professional healer and how one can do something similar. I'm just more trying to think of how I can condense this super long story into something sweet and brief. How did I become a professional healer? I've always been different. I've always talked to other energies and entities my entire life. If I hadn't been able to communicate with them directly, I would not have survived the childhood that I had to deal with. So it was a survival mechanism for me, for sure. So I was always talking to other beings and entities and had a very, very rich life and dynamic with those beings. And I always knew, ooh, sorry guys, I just hit the camera there. I always knew that what I was experiencing was my spirituality, and what I was being told was right as far as religion goes wasn't right for me. So I was very open to that. But what ended up happening to me when I was from like 19 to 21, I really went through some very difficult years. And my level of empathing was at such a level with the PTSD I was dealing with from some very awful things happening, that I couldn't function in society. Like I couldn't, basically had trouble leaving the house, but I had to work because I had to make money. So I was working at a copy shop and I was really struggling to get through the days. And this Reiki master and shamanic teacher came in. She was printing out some pamphlets for her workshop that she was doing, her Reiki 1 training. And we connected. And as soon as she saw me, she was like, I know that you have some ability and I think you need to do this. Now, I had been exploring witchcraft as a path at this time. I had not been exploring Reiki. But what I ended up doing was taking that training with her. And then I started working shamanically with her. And that's how I became a professional healer. She and my other teacher basically forced me to start doing readings for people. It was in a very loving way. And they kind of were like, nope, you're going to get out there. You're going to start doing this. This is your gift. And so that's how I started doing readings. I started doing them in person that way. And I was offering Reiki sessions at the time. And everything just organically grew from there. Then my teacher and I started offering tarot trainings. And that's how the YouTube channel started. Some of the people that took and these were all in person at the time. Some of the people who took the tarot trainings wanted a way to remember what we were teaching. And, so I created those videos so that they had something to reference after the training. And that's how my online practice grew. It all happened very organically. If you are looking to do something similar, so I can't speak to like brand building and spreading the word like many professional people do. That's just never been my thing. It's never going to be my thing. I believe in authenticity and real connection. And that's how I built my practice to be a full-time job. So I would say if you're looking to do something similar, it's very important to find your voice as a healer, as a medium, as a psychic, as a witch, as a reader, however you identify yourself. And it's very important to connect authentically with others through your voice. So this means that you have to know your voice, you have to spend time with it, you have to develop it, and you have to practice your craft. And through that, then you build a community and a following that's willing to support you as you're sharing that with others. So that's like the most condensed way I can speak to that. And it's also what I have found. But I am really rare. Most people are building a brand in a very business-oriented fashion, which is totally fine. No judgment there. It's just not something I can speak to. I didn't do it that way. So I hope that answers that question. And I need to take a sip of water. Next question. Before journeying with a deity, do you cast a circle or do anything to make sure the deity coming in is not something else that may be harmful? This is a great question. Yes, I typically will cast a circle, or at the very least, visualize with ices a safe space so that the only energies in the place are myself and deity. I also work from an inner temple whenever I do journey work or connect with a guide of any form or sort. And that inner temple has been set up with a specific purpose of only those energies that are working with me are allowed in the space. So I kind of have like a twofold thing that happens there. If a deity, let me clarify this question this way. If a deity is coming in, that means you trouble, you will feel it. Like, the way I like to say this is it's like Loki. Like, Loki's a trickster god. Coyote is another trickster. And when they come in, you can feel that they're a little shifty, you know, that they've got like their own agenda in connecting with you. And it may not be the intention that you started to connect with them on. So and the more you do it, you'll get a feel for when something is there to assist you and when something is there to fuck shit up. And if you feel the fuck shit up energy, it's very important not to get into a scared place with that, but to be super clear with your energy. And that's when you would really call in a form of deity that you do work with that's ride or die for you and insist that that energy leave the space. I will say that I do regularly cleanse and clear my entire home and the property where I live and my car and all these other things. But I'm a lot more active with multiple energies than a day, a session than most people. So you may find that you don't need to do that as much. But as I said, all kinds of beings exist. You do want to be very aware when you're starting working with this, and even advanced practitioners. You don't want to get lackadaisical about proper protective energetic boundaries. It's very important. Someone asked what kind of tea do I drink, because I mentioned that in the video. I drink Yorkshire Gold. It's got more caffeine in it than coffee. Okay, next question. How do you connect to the divine? I don't feel a connection to anything at the moment. I'm going through a rough period in my life right now, and I want to turn to my spiritual path, but I don't feel anything there either. Do you have any advice? Great question. Okay, so I'm going to speak personally to this, and then I'm going to speak to how you can start to feel a connection. I have always worked with non-corporeal beings, and so this wasn't a new concept when I started working with the goddess and forms of the goddess for me. And so I know that sometimes when I speak to this, it's like people are like, yeah, but Racine, I haven't had that experience. So I just want to honor that, like, just because I've had that experience doesn't mean that you are, and it doesn't mean that something's wrong with you if you haven't. What I will say about this is, what I would encourage you to do, especially where you're going through a dark period right now, is to just, first of all, sit, like create some sacred space for yourself. So maybe there's an altar, maybe you have a favorite book and a candle, right? And then I want you to like breathe for a few minutes, just like gently breathe, tell your body to relax, and then bring your awareness, like first bring your awareness to the body, and then bring your awareness out a little bit farther. And bring your awareness out a little bit farther like this. This is going to help you start to feel energy outside of your physical personal experience. Okay, so start to play with that. That's going to open you up to being able to feel when a goddess or god is trying to connect with you. Then what I want you to do is look for signs. Deity that wants to work with you is always going to leave you signs. So as an example, I work with the Morrigan semi-regularly, but she is not, I don't work with her constantly, right? But for the last 3 days, all I have seen are crows constantly, everywhere I go. They're flying over my head, they're cawing, they're flying over the car when I pick up my son at school, they're on the side of the road, they're outside my windows. So I know from that the Morrigan is saying, Racine, it's time for us to talk. So, and to me, crows are a sign of the Morrigan. So what I want you to pay attention to is, what are you seeing? Look for birds that you're seeing a lot. Look for, like, if you're scrolling on social media and you keep seeing the same thing over and over again, you keep seeing repeating numbers, you keep seeing birds, you keep seeing the same symbol. Those are deity giving you signs that they want to communicate with you. So what do you do then? Go to Google, do some research, find out what deity is associated with that symbol, animal, place, whatever that you keep seeing repeating. Do some research. Wait till you feel the right one. Like, let's say there's a couple options. Let's say you're looking at ravens and Odin and the Morrigan came up. One of the two is going to resonate more, which means you'll feel better when you look at either one. Like, I feel like a softening and a relaxing. So, okay, I was looking at the Morrigan. It's Morrigan this time. It's not Odin that's coming through. Then set up a date. It's a relationship. Set up a date. Ask them out on a date. Say at 8 o'clock, Saturday night, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to open my awareness like I just asked you to play with there. Please come through and communicate with me. And they'll be there. Now, what you want to be aware of when you open up to that space is it's not like a big voice comes down from the sky and says your name and then says you have been chosen. And it's like a movie. It doesn't work like that. I want you to bring that awareness outside of the body and then pay attention to what you feel, what you see, what you know, and what you hear. But what you hear is going to probably be in your own, like the sound of your own inner voice, but it almost feels a little softer. It's like a little bit removed from your typical hamster wheel train of thought. It's like out here. And that's them communicating with you. So that's the best advice I can give you about connecting with deity. Your other option is, if you're not getting signs, but you still want to connect with someone, actually call a deity in. So you do the research, you decide who you want to work with, and then you make a date with them and ask them to meet you. That's the best advice I can give you there. Okay, so we answered everything in that video. Let's go to the dedication video. Let's see. Excuse me. Let's see if I have any questions here. I thought I had a question here. Sorry, guys. Pause with me, pause with me, pause with me. Here we go. How many months or years into your regular practice did you feel a much deeper connection to deity? Great question. I've always felt, again, I came in doing this, I've always been talking to things that weren't there. So it's only gotten deeper for me. But as soon as I released the Christian upbringing that I was raised in that said what I was doing was evil and working with evil energy, it amplified 1,000-fold. So I would say once I let go of that guilt and fear and shame, and that was in my early 20s, the top just blew off. I mean, it got even more intense. And what I can speak to with this is it grows. It is a muscle. The more you do it, the more strong it gets, the more powerful it is. It's really, really beautiful. So if you're starting this and you're feeling like I'm not having the same experience you are, Racine, it's really difficult for me, keep going with it because it's going to grow. The other thing is, don't compare yourself to other people. Don't try to make your experience like somebody else, and work with how you get the messages. Don't try to make it like somebody else's way of getting the messages. I really can't reiterate that enough. If you don't see, but you hear, it's pointless to try to see, when if you would focus on hearing more, you would just grow that exponentially, and then naturally the seeing might become a part of the picture. But when you try to like make something fit a box, it's not going to work when you're doing this type of work, which is experiential in nature. You have to go with your strength, and then through that exploration with the strength, you'll open up naturally to other ways of intuiting. So, but I would say I've always been talking to deity. The lid really blew off in my early 20s once I committed myself to my path and let go of guilt and shame that was holding me back from fully exploring these gifts. Let's see, we'll do one more question. Let me see if I have any more on here. Okay, this one might be one more. No? Okay. How do you show up? Last question I'm going to answer. I see lots of people saying do the work, etc., but what do you actually do? Pull cards and journal, meditation. I would love a video on what you've done in your path that you do regularly. That's actually what I said in that video. That is what I do regularly. So I'm a little confused by that question, but let me clarify for you. The showing up and doing the work is daily practice, which is a daily draw and journaling. And the journaling might be journaling about a meditation I did with a form of deity the night before, or emotionally where I'm at, or a shadow wound that I'm looking at releasing, or just how I feel that morning. And then I will journal about the connection with the card. And then I journey with a form of deity or a guide at some point in the day. In addition to that, I add regular card work to my practice. It's very similar to what I do when I offer workshops. That's my personal practice, and I work with the Sabbats and Espits. So that is doing the work. That's actually quite an intensive practice if you break down the amount of time I spend doing that. So that is the work. So when other people are saying show up, it means, yeah, you get up, or whenever you do your practice, even when you don't feel like it. It's like going to the gym. It's not fun. Nobody wants to do it. Well, most of us don't want to do it. But when you after you do the work, you feel so much better. Your whole focus and your body, your mental and emotional focus has completely shifted, right? Even though you've got to push yourself to get to the gym to work your body out. This is a spiritual workout. So it's not always fun. What are the benefits? What are the lessons? I would say I have a pretty fucking awesome connection with deity and non-corporeal beings. I have relatively accurate psychic medium abilities. I mean, I've been working professionally for over a decade, so I would say that's definitely benefited my abilities as a practitioner. It makes my readings more accurate, and I can read loved ones who've crossed over much more accurately because I have a regular practice. Personally, for myself, I am light years ahead of where most people my age are in regards to emotional awareness, and as well shadow awareness of my own fucking shit that I bring to the table in relationships, friendships, and connections, and of how I parent my son. I'm able to have really honest conversations with people because I am aware of my bullshit, and I do work on my bullshit, and I'm willing to have conversations with people about how I need to grow and improve as a person and mistakes that I have made, because every morning I do sit down and journal about things I might not be proud of about myself, or things that I would like to shift a continual thought pattern that's keeping me back, that's holding me back. So I just feel better 1,000%. Me not following the spiritual path is me back at 19, 20, barely functioning, an extremely toxic relationship, and deeply unhealthy in every way in my life. Me following this path, I have a full life. My son and I have a beautiful family unit, and we live a wonderful, connected, happy life. So what are the benefits? Oh my God, everything. Like, to me, to say, you know, if you're on the fence about, do I devote myself to a daily practice? I mean, that's totally a personal decision for yourself if that's going to work for you or not. But I would say you're only going to receive positive from it. You're going to have to go through the first discomfort of like looking at your own stuff and having to be like, oh yeah, I'm not just a victim. Because anytime you step into this type of spiritual work, it demands that you look at all of the pieces. And so some of those wounds that we deal with, others have inflicted upon us, and some of those wounds we've inflicted upon ourselves. So it is going to require honesty, but it's going to be absolutely worth it because there's such a sense of fulfillment. And for me personally, where I am on my journey, I am connected to the deity that I work with every moment of every day. Like, I can connect with them at any point in time. And I have a really beautiful, vibrant practice, and I have a really beautiful, vibrant life. So I think it's absolutely worth it. But I'm not going to make another video to share that because I already shared that in that video. I do pull cards and journal, and I do journey with my guides every single day. And then I observe Espits and Sabbats. I engage in ritual, and I engage in a deep dive into tarot and oracle practice regularly. So I think I answered that in that video. But okay, So next video, we're going to talk Ouija boards, and we're going to do some Instagram questions because I have a lot from there as well. And I still have a whole nother video and a half to go through question list with there too. So thank you for hanging out with me if you've made it this long. Thank you so much for your wonderful questions. It's so much fun to sit down and just kind of like answer them without doing a set video on answering the question. So I hope if you had asked some of these questions, this helps. Thank you so much for all of your support, guys. Thank you so much to my viewers. You guys have really just been on this beautiful ride with me for over a decade, and it's been so much fun to share our journeys together. I'm sending you much love and many blessings. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.